We are essentially pioneering the use of epigenomics in livestock management, which involves capturing a blood test. And rather than, whereas genomics looks at sort of the DNA blueprint of an animal and the potential of sort of a dairy cow to sort of produce milk and perform, we're looking at essentially how active those genetics are and how they interact with the environment. So essentially giving farmers insights and recommendations on how they can optimize sort of diet, infrastructure, animal husbandry and health in order to make those animals perform at their peak. So our co-founders essentially sort of developed the technology in racehorses because they were approached by a breeder who wanted to understand why some of their sort of equine stars performed really, really well on the track and why some very genetically similarly related siblings of theirs couldn't win a race. So it was understanding that, there was more to their performance than just genetics. And, using a blood test and essentially looking at how they were utilizing their genetics in relation to sort of how they were being fed, how they were being trained, obviously had a big impact on their performance as well. And so using essentially the same logic, we then wanted to obviously translate that to livestock industries as well, starting with dairy. So epigenetics is essentially how all living things, from ourselves to dairy cows to even bacteria and viruses, essentially respond to their environment. So obviously, an athlete wouldn't be as good an athlete if they didn't eat, a really strict, optimum diet, obviously trained for, what it is that they wanted to do. So we obviously want dairy cows to perform as efficiently as possible for their primary goal, which is obviously producing milk. So therefore, we're helping to sort of optimize the regime for those athletes, as it were. We basically biostatistically select about 10% of a dairy herd, from which we would capture a blood sample from on an annual basis. We then combine this with sort of performance and health records that are captured on farm by measuring 22,000 individual sort of biomarkers from that blood sample. We then use machine learning and artificial intelligence to derive sort of cow-driven insights back to the dairy farmers.